Yesterday was D-Day. You know what that means? Google is now celebrating a random lesbian instead of actually honoring the people that have passed away and died and risked their life on that day 80 years ago yesterday. It's a sad reality that our country does not recognize what happened 80 years ago and instead will now recognize a random person on the front page of Google instead of actually acknowledging the people that passed away. Now, Joe Biden actually had a whole entire event planned for today. He actually went through the event, and we will be covering that. But I did want to cover this before we did. Without further ado, let's begin. So, a federal judge had now ordered Steve Bannon, to report to prison. So, a federal judge has ordered Steve Bannon, a former Trump White House chief strategist, on Thursday to report to prison on July 1st for defying a congressional subpoena. Now, for me, I would not have did any of this. I would have just went to the congressional subpoena, and I would just cooperate and just did my best to actually do that because of the fact that it might not be against the rules to not go and go to court because of a congressional subpoena. But at the same exact time, why are you going to go and risk it? Why are you going to go and test their buttons and stuff like that? I just would never do any of those things because I just don't want to deal with their wrath. I'm good. But the thing is, if you test these people, they will go and use the full entire authority of the law that they think that they have or they think that they might have against you. It's not a good thing. Okay, so that's that. The Democrat-led House Select Subcommittee has investigated the January 6, 2021 quote-unquote riot at the United States Capitol, and he was sentenced to 4 months of incarceration. The United States District Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee, has initially stayed the sentence, giving Bannon time to appeal the conviction, but he reversed course this week. Quote, the United States has moved to lift the stay of the defendant Stephen K. Bannon's sentence following the Court of Appeals opinion affirming his conviction. Nichols wrote in his order, for the reasons explained at today's hearing, the court concedes that defendant's appeal no longer raises a substantial question of law that is likely to result in a reversal or an order for a new trial under 18 U.S.C. Yada, yada, yada. Accordingly, it is ordered that the motion is granted. It is further ordered that defendant Stephen K. Bannon shall report to the Bureaus of Prisons by January 1st, 2024. The order concluded. So, in the 2.5 to 3 years we've been here, look at the rise of MAGA, look at the rise of Donald Trump. If the election was held today, according to CNN's Harry Elton, President Trump would win in a landslide, Bannon said. All of this besides the major illegal issues that have been addressed. All of this is about one thing. It's about shutting down the MAGA movement, shutting down the grassroots conservatives, shutting down President Trump. Not only are we winning, we're going to prevail. And every number and every poll shows that. There's nothing that can shut me up and nothing that will shut me up. There's no prison built or a jail built that will ever shut me up. He continued, all victory to MAGA. We're going to do this. We're going to win the Supreme Court. And more importantly, we're going to win on November 5th with an amazing landslide in the Senate, in the House, and also Donald J. Trump back as president of the United States. So I can see exactly where he's coming from in this aspect. But the thing is, at the same exact time, I would have just said, yeah, of course, I don't respect the subpoena. I don't respect the select subcommittee and this action whatsoever. But at the same exact time, we can't just be sitting here saying, well, since I don't want to show up, I'm not going to show up. Like, you can't be doing that because this is what's going to happen. So even though you don't agree with the select subcommittee, I don't want to mess with the wrath of these people, especially because of the fact that they can go and put you in prison, exactly what we're seeing now. So hopefully he does not go to prison. Hopefully he is just, or if he is going to go to prison, it's only going to be for a couple of months or something like that, because it's not a good thing for a political commentator to be in whatsoever. This is exactly why you don't want to mess with the law and you don't want to mess with the wrath of the Democrats whatsoever. But it is very good exactly what he said. I agree fully with what he is saying. But the approach of it, I just would not go that approach whatsoever, and I don't think any lawyer would want you to take that approach either. So, with that being said, D-Day, when real men held the moral high ground. This is an article from the Daily Wire. One of the most popular books in the 1980s was the satire Real Men Don't Eat Quitch. It was a tongue-in-cheek homage to what even then was perceived fading masculinity starting to inflect our broader society. One of the chapters listed historic dates in real men history of June 6, 1944, better known as D-Day. It states that 150,000 real men stormed Normandy Beach. In a way, I could end this piece right here, right there, as I cannot offer a more fitting tribute to what occurred on those hollowed beaches 80 years ago today, but I will try. But as the years pass and the greatest generation fades to the point where soon they will be gone, this monumental event in the annals of war offers us both a remembrance of what was and a reflection of what we as a nation have become. First, for those of you that do not know what D-Day even was, and I fear there are too many out there, which I'm sadly one of those people because my education system failed. The public education system that I got did not spend any time on D-Day whatsoever. And actually, if you want to believe it or not, in Apple Calendar, D-Day is not even marked as a holiday whatsoever at all. By the spring of 1944, the war against Nazi Germany, as her Axis partners, has turned on the Allies' favor. A remission that once seemed invincible had been driven from Russia, wherein almost 8 out of every 10 German casualties during the war were inflicted. Meanwhile, the Western allies of primarily the United States and Britain were slowly eating away at the prophecy of Hitler's shrinking empire while inflicting the Axis defeat after defeat in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy. At the same time, United States Army Air Forces and RAF bombing raids were laying waste to German industry and cities. The walls were indeed closing on the Third Reich. But so long as Hitler held on the Western Europe, where with the English Channel between his armies and the Allied bases in Great Britain, the war's ultimate outcome was hardly a felt accompli. What was needed to offer the coup de grace was a cross-channel invasion. Although only 21 miles wide at its northern narrowest point, the English Channel was nevertheless a formidable barrier. And even though by the mid-1944, the Wehrmacht had suffered horrible losses, it was far from defeated, thus the necessity to open a second front. So this is explaining exactly what D-Day is. If you did not already know, I strongly urge everybody to read this whole entire article. We're going to read a little bit more into this right here. So the prospects facing Allied planners were daunting. From the North Sea to Pyrenees, the Germans, under their most reversed field marshal, Erwin Murnell, has constructed a series of fortresses and bunkers, machine gun nets, pillboxes, artillery positions, barbed wire, mines, obstacles, and the like, all with one goal: to prevent the Allies from getting across the Channel and gaining the foothold in France. From which two, as per the JCS, I should say, directive to the Allied Supreme Commander Gen. Dwight D. Eisenhower, entered the commitment of Europe, and in conjunction with the other United Nations, commerce operations aimed at the heart of Germany and the destruction of her armed forces. Indeed, some of Germany's most powerful formations, including several of the brutally efficient and battle-tested SS Panzer divisions, lay in wait behind what Hitler dubbed his Atlantic Wall. So, of course, this is a very important day because if it wasn't for D-Day, then Hitler would have infiltrated more parts of Europe than he was already in, and he would have taken over more of a foothold, and it was going to be very disastrous to get him out of there if he was to take over another country. So again, this is very important for everybody to actually research, everybody to actually learn in schools, but public schools spends no mind on this topic whatsoever because, again, they love talking on the mainstream about how Hitler's bad and this person is Hitler and this person's Hitler and Trump is Hitler supposedly and this and that. And that's Hitler, but they don't realize what the history about Hitler is. They don't realize what the history around Hitler is. They don't realize what Nazis are. They don't know what an actual Nazi stands for. They don't know anything in that time frame whatsoever. But then they're gonna sit here and pretend to play the mental superiority when it comes to this aspect. It just does not make any sense whatsoever. And then if we're looking at the real Nazis of today, the people that actually kill Israelis, kill Jewish people, they will not go and take the opposite side. They will not say, no, I'm not going to stand with this guy that's killing Jewish people right here. I will go and stand with the ally. I will go stand out with the Jewish person and stand up for this person. I'm going to stand up for this person. But people say, no, you know what? If Hitler was around today, I would stand up to him. But if something was thinking like Hitler, I would not stand up for this person. This is what a lot of people say, and it's very upsetting. It is really upsetting because of the fact that people say that, oh, all the time, I would stand up to Hitler if he was around today. But then if you look at the mainstream media and look at exactly where things are turning and exactly what things are actually turning out to be, then you would see that they are all full of BS. They are full of poop because of the fact that they do not stand up for the Nazis of today, the people that are actually being Nazis in our own day and age. And it's very, very interesting seeing the contrast in people. So, with that being said, this is a bad take, obviously, but we already know The View is full of bad takes. This is Joy Barr. Americans save the world on DJ just to throw it in the toilet if they vote for Trump. That doesn't make any sense. So Trump, the most pro-Israeli president in my lifetime, you would be what, supporting Hitler? You're throwing it all away in the drain if you support Trump. That doesn't make any sense, and it does not make any sense for a plethora of reasons. But of course, that's the most apparent one. Trump is the most pro-Israeli president, and on D-Day, we saved the world from Hitler, which hated Jewish people. So what does that mean? How are you throwing it all away? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Joy Barr claimed on Thursday that Americans had saved France and saved the world during World War II, only to throw it down the toilet if they elected former President Donald Trump to a second term. Barr joined twice failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who lost the 2016 election, in comparing the very real threat posed by Adolf Hitler and his Nazi regime to yet another Trump presidency. Whoopi Goldberg kicked off this conversation on The View, commentating that the 80th anniversary of D-Day by laminating the fact that the younger generations do not understand what really happened during World War II. Goldberg herself has previously suspended from the show for claiming that the Holocaust was not about race, which does not make much sense whatsoever. Barr followed that with her assessment. When I was there, I had a guide who was French and said to him, we saved France. And he said, you saved the world. You saved the world. And that is the most touching thing that anybody has ever said to me about this country. Whenever Joy Bear, or however you say her name, whenever she talks, she just sounds stupid. I get what you're saying. I was there. I had a guy that was French, and I told him, we saved France. Out of nowhere, we saved France. We saved France. Okay, you saved the world. You saved the world. Okay, so a lot of French people don't really like Americans. So again, I don't think that this conversation actually did happen. So I think she's just making it up to make herself sound cooler, I guess. I don't really know. Obviously, there's another person. Sunny Halston is just another stupid person. She corrected Beer by saying that Trump was not held liable for rape, but for the sexual abuse. So, of course, she's a person that is supposed to be a Republican, but then she just agrees with the Democrats all of the time anyway. So, what's the point of having her there? It's supposed to look like they're nonpartisan. So, they're not the nonpartisan, obviously. But of course, they want to make it look as such because of the fact that they're on the mainstream media and they have to make it look nonpartisan, I guess. I don't know. With that being said, according to the Daily Wire, again, we have, according to Hillary, all you have to do is vote. Hillary Clinton compares Trump to Hitler in a vile D-Day post. So 80 years ago today, thousands of brave Americans fought to protect democracy on the shores of Normandy. This November, all we have to do is vote. Yeah, so that's what Hillary Clinton says, but this is exactly why you lost the election, because nobody agrees with you whatsoever. You cannot get the amount of votes that you actually need because nobody agrees with your leftist policies and leftist takes. Even the leftists that voted you in from the primary, those people don't even like you, and that's a sad reality. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. So, moving right in, we actually have an AP News article. We have highlights from the 80th anniversary of D Day in Normandy. So, today's live coverage has ended, blah, 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 blah. 2024 events. Hundreds of UK Armed Forces personnel parachuted into a historic D Day drop zone in a cattle lift vigil that was held at Biox War Cemetery, where 4,600 graves of World War II military veterans will be illuminated. Notable attendees: Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, the United States President Joe Biden are among those in attendance at the International Cemetery, this ceremony. How the day unfolded. The Allied invasion of the Nazi-occupied France was unprecedented in scale and in audacity, using the largest ever armada of ships, troops, planes, and vehicles to to change the course of World War II. We already talked about the history of this, and we talked about exactly what happened. But Macron, which is a president for another country, I guess, yeah, French President Macron, thanked Ukrainian leader for their courage in the fight against Russian forces, saying, "We are here, we won't back away." So they're using this D-Day speech as "Oh, it's okay, you got this thing, you got this thing." But then at the same exact time, we have actual people in attendance that served this country and served in Normandy 80 years ago. So again, we need to respect those people more than Zelensky and his people. Yes, his people are fighting. I talked to Ukrainian people in the past. Yes, of course, there are people are fighting for an existential war. Of course, 100%. I did not say that they're not. But at the same exact time, there's a time and place. D-Day is not the time and place to praise Zelensky. Zelensky gets praised every single day on the mainstream. So, moving on to the next article, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have the New York PD, the New York Police Department is actually preparing to revoke Trump's gun permit. So, in April of 2023, after former President Donald Trump was indicted in New York, his concealed carry license was suspended. Now, the New York City Police Department is reportedly preparing to revoke it entirely. According to the senior NYPD official, Trump relinquished 2 pistols that he licensed to carry on March 31st, 2023, but another gun license on Trump's license was lawfully moved to Florida. Of course, why wouldn't he? Why would he give up all of his pistols? No, he needs to move those pistols all the way to Florida. That's exactly what should happen here. Of course, the officials said in an investigation by the NYPD's legal bureau that it will likely lead to a revocation of his license, although Trump could challenge such decision in a hearing. So he might lose his license, but at the end of the day, he can just challenge that decision. But at the end of the day, he is going to be in a New York court. So is it even worth paying the hundreds of dollars every single 4 years or so, every time it expires? Because my license, my FID in Massachusetts expires every 6 years. So that might expire every 6 years. So why pay New York a penny more than you have to? Don't get the carry license in New York. Just have the bodyguards there, and then they'll have the license to carry. So yeah, it's just a disgusting thing, just because of the fact that it was a scam trial and he was indicted. Now he's gonna lose his license to carry and protect himself and his family when they're in New York. So yeah, this is a highly disgusting thing. Former United States Attorney General William Barr said that I said from the very start that this was an abomination, and I was actually surprised that they went ahead with this case because there was really nothing there, and there was no crime there, and there never will be a crime there. And they never were really able to articulate it until after the defense rested its case. So I thought the whole thing was pretty travesty. So of course, the whole entire thing was a travesty because of the fact that they're prosecuting a former president on trumped-up charges, pun intended. So with that being said, we do have another Daily Wire article. Here we have Biden raises eyebrows at D-Day cemetery and he gets escorted away from as Macron greets veterans. So President Joe Biden raises eyebrows while attending the 80th anniversary of D-Day invasion of Normandy in France, and then apparently had to be escorted away from the festivities while French President Emmanuel Macron remained on site to greet the veterans. At one point during the ceremonies, Biden appeared confused about whether he was supposed to remain standing or sit down, resulting in an awkward half squat, and then he looked behind him to see that where the chair might be. First Lady Jill Biden, who quickly raised one hand in front of her mouth, seemed like she could be feeding him directions. Yeah, so this is very awkward. We're going to be seeing this video here because I would like to see it. Yeah, you definitely sit down. After seeing this immediately, you definitely sit down. You need to sit down. You need to sit down. I saw a couple seconds of this already. You need to sit down. I don't really think that the sound is necessary, but it's okay just in case.
Distinguished guests,
No.
please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you were not supposed to sit down. Oh my god, right away I thought that yeah, you need to sit down and stop making a fool out of yourself. But again, you're recognizing veterans. You don't sit down. Why time to sit. Time to sit. No. You stand up until the ceremony is done. When you realize you had 3 cups of coffee and the brain muffin for breakfast. Yeah, yeah. People are just making fun of him. And of course, it's really deserved because who the heck does that? In the middle of you greeting veterans, you're gonna sit down? You're gonna sit down or stand up or sit down? Like, which one do I do? Do I sit up? Do I stand up? Do I sit down? Which one do I do? No. You stand there and you greet the veterans that are gonna come and look behind you and see the veterans that have served, the veterans that their family members served, and vice versa, stuff like that, so on and so forth. That's what you're there for. So I don't understand why I don't understand why he's doing it. I don't understand what he's doing. He doesn't even understand what he's doing. That's the reason why he did this weird half squat, half sit. He doesn't know. It's sad. And they say behind closed doors, he's losing his mind. The Times actually had an article on this. A interview, I should say. Yeah, Joe Biden is senile in front of open doors. Never mind behind closed doors. He's a-okay or losing it a little bit. No. And everywhere he's losing it a lot. And he had screws loose 3 years ago when we first elected the guy. That's sad. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the media's takes. So if you could not already tell, I'm trying to cover these articles as fast as I possibly can because there's a lot of news to get to. So, according to CNN, takeaways from the day 3 of the Hunter Biden gun trial. So, on the 3rd day of Hunter Biden's trial, saw his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend testify in a vivid detail about his drug addiction. Oh, poor baby. Listen, the thing is, you had an illegal gun on your person. You went and filled out a federal gun form saying that you were not addicted to drugs. Then you have your ex-wife come up and talk about your drug addiction. Yeah, we know that you had a drug addiction, and drug addictions are very, very harmful. And of course, drug addictions are very, very serious. That's exactly why you should not own a gun when you are addicted to drugs. Very, very self-evident here. Also introduced as evidence on Wednesday was the gun Biden brought in October of 2018. That's at the center of the charges against him. The salesman who sold Biden the gun testified that he saw him fill out the federal form in which he was accused of falsely claiming that he wasn't using drugs, which obviously is true. He was definitely using drugs. As the day wrapped up, prosecutors announced that they have a dozen shorter witnesses remaining and might be prepared to rest their case as soon as Thursday afternoon. After that, Biden's defense lawyers can put on a case if they want to. Here's what to know from day 3, a tale of 2 exes. The whale hunter, more embarrassing hunter photos, what's next, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, CNN is just trying to sit here and just say, well, it's a-okay, guys. Just keep believing in Hunter and you will be good. Believing in Hunter will set you free. That's what CNN likes to say, but that's not the reality. The reality is that Hunter Biden filled out a gun form and lied on the gun form. If Trump did this, he would be prosecuted to the highest court of the land. But of course, Trump did not do this, and instead, Hunter Biden, which is Joe Biden's son, which is the president's son, is getting away with this, lying on a gun form. Of course, it's not a good thing. With that being said, we have an MSNBC article now. We have big tech CEOs are lining up to back Trump. Don't be surprised. I am surprised. Since when? Since when did this ever happen? Because this has never been a thing that big tech CEOs are behind Trump. That's not a thing. Since when did big tech CEOs come behind the Republican? They're always behind they're always behind the Democrat. That's what they are. They're always behind Democrats. They're always giving all of this dirty money to Democrats so they can win the election. They're always suppressing Republicans, suppressing conservatives, suppressing everyone that does not have the mainstream point of view or the mainstream perspective on the issue. That's what they always do. So it's a very big surprise for me that big tech CEOs are finally on a Republican side, because it's not true whatsoever. According to the MSNBC article, there's been a lot of recent supporting on the endorsements and the monetary support that Donald Trump's campaign is receiving from tech executives and investors, many of them white men. How do you know? How do you know about this? Because I would love to know where you got this information from. Because how do you know a lot of quote unquote white men? So what are you saying, a lot of quote unquote black men support Joe Biden? I highly doubt that. Maybe because you're just gonna support the Democrat no matter what. But at the end of the day, really, that's what it boils down to. Not because of the fact that he's being unfairly prosecuted in the highest court of the land, or not the highest court of the land, but in a court case for a federal issue that expired years ago. Trump is getting donations for because of the fact that he's being unfairly prosecuted. But you're boiling the whole entire support thing down to somebody's race? No, it's not just because of somebody's race. It's because of the fact that Trump is being unfairly prosecuted. That's why. This week's Tuesday Tech Drop documented one aspect of the phenomenon in which some influential figures in tech who previously donated to Democrats are now lining up behind Trump's campaign. In last week, Reuters reported that this venture capitalist, David Sachs and Sharmanda Filipino, I think that's how you say her name. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, or his name, whatever, are hosting a high-dollar event for Trump in San Francisco on Thursday, designed to show an outpouring support from Silicon Valley leaders from the convicted former president. Of course, every time they say convicted or felon, president of America, whatever, they mean this in the aspect of, ha, 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 pointing the figure, ha, ha, you got prosecuted, you got prosecuted. That's what they're saying. It's like a little tease that the left is going to do until election day now. And it's obviously a trumped up charge. It's obviously not a good charge at all, but they wanted this so bad. They've been drooling for this for years. They've been waiting. And then they finally got it. As soon as Trump said lock her up in 2016, they held this against him. They said, Trump, you will regret those words. Lock him up? I think so. Lock her up for a person that actually broke the law and got American military men killed? Nah. We're going to lock up Trump for doing, I don't know. They don't even know what rule Trump actually broke. They don't know what law Trump actually broke and violated. Each jury comes to a different conclusion. That's exactly what happened in this New York case. We broke it down a few weeks ago, or last Thursday, if you do want to check it out, I should say. So, with that being said, we do have a Daily Wire article. We have Morgan Wallen breaks Taylor Swift's records on music chart. So, Morgan Wallen broke Taylor Swift's recent record on Bill Hot 100 chart when his latest song secured the top spot for the most weeks on number one. The 31-year-old country music star beat out both Swift and Roddy Ricch, who were both tied at 18 weeks on the top Billboard Hot Genre 100 list this decade. When his collaboration with Post Malone, I Had Some Help, took over the top spot for 19, chart data reported. One fan account, Post Malone, wrote on X that his Wallen collab has returned to number one on the United States Spotify chart in this 27th day, gaining 3,125,853 streams. That's crazy. Fans of the Whiskey Glasses hitmaker shared their excitement from the news when the news surfaced that he broke another record, taking to social media to label him the GOAT. And even more, the mainstream media noted. He's the hottest artist right now, one person wrote. He's got everything lined up for it to stay that way for a long time. Everything he puts out is better than the last. It's amazing to watch his trajectory. Love it. But I think everybody's forgetting the fact that he threw a chair over the edge of a LA bar. I think everybody's forgetting that, but I do wish Morgan Wallen the best. I do like some of his songs, so I'm not going to go too harsh on him. I do like the song that they're actually talking about, though. I was actually one of those streams, so I actually find myself, I'm glad. I'm glad that I actually watched and contributed to his success to actually get him to the number one spot. So I'd like some compensation. I'm just kidding. I did enjoy the song. Country songs, it has to be a specific country song for me to actually like. I don't think this was really country song for me. I like a more Luke Bryan type stuff. 2010s, 2015s Luke Bryan. That's my type of night. That's my type of songs. When it comes to country music, but for me, I don't like country music all that often. I listen to pop on the regular. So, with that being said, we have a Daily Wire article again. 101-year-old D-Day vet knew exactly what he was fighting for, and he says to kick Hitler's ass out of Europe. Jake Larson returned to Normandy, France to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day invasion in which he had participated. And he told Christine Interpour that he knew exactly what he and his fellow soldiers were fighting for. Interpour began by asking Larson whether he remembered what it was like to step out of the landing craft in the water, and he said that he was ambient, like it was yesterday. He went on to say that 17-year-old pilot had dropped them off a bit short of the mark he was supposed to hit, so that when he and the others stepped off the landing craft, they had immediately been neck deep in water. I got out of the landing craft and I had water up to my chin, he said. He let us out a little bit too far, but we were just 17 years old to pilot for the boat. You are all kids, the CNN anchor exclaimed. We're all kids, yes. The anchor Jen asked that if he had known at the time what they were fighting for, and he said definitely that we knew. Every one of us were prepared to give our life to kick Hitler's ass out of Europe, he said. And we did. We lost quite a few. We lost friends. I lost friends. But we were soldiers. We were prepared to give our life. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but sold to die. What is a soldier? A sold to die. That's exactly what a soldier is. And I commend his accomplishments. I commend him. He deserves the Medal of Honor for saving this country and the world from Hitler's nasty tentacles. So I fully embrace this Navy veteran, and I think that everybody should too, because of the fact that he saved this great country. So, with that being said, I do have another article from Breitbart. This goes on the Trump trial that actually happened in New York Police Department, which is actually taking away Trump's license to carry. And the Second Amendment Foundation will now pledge litigation on Trump's behalf if his concealed permit is revoked, which the New York Police Department already did. On Thursday, the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF, pledged to litigate on Donald Trump's behalf if New York PD revokes his concealed carry permit. On Wednesday, Breitbart News reported that NYPD was preparing to revoke Donald Trump's concealed carry permit following the numerous felony convictions handed down by the jury last week. CNN pointed out that the permit was actually suspended on April 1st, 2023. April Fools. Oh, wow, what a thing to wake up to. Imagine April Fools. Yeah, your permit for you protecting yourself and your family suspended. Oh, what an April Fool's joke. And then they say the day after April Fools, they say on April 2nd, by the way, that wasn't an April Fool's joke. It's a sick, twisted joke. And the New York Times noted an investigation into the matter is underway by the New York PD. And it is anticipated that Trump's permit will be revoked once it ends. However, the New York Times pointed out and admitted that Trump has the right to file a challenge to the move, enter the SAF, which made clear that on Thursday it will litigate on Trump's behalf should his permit be revoked. SAF founder and executive vice president Aline Galib said that Donald Trump has no history of violent crime, and under the Supreme Court's 2022 Byrne ruling, which requires gun owners to have some analogous connection to historical regulation. At the time that the founders wrote the Constitution Bill of Rights, Mr. Trump should not lose his Second Amendment rights. He added there is no historical nexus to deny someone, including Trump, of their gun license after such a conviction. Galib continued, the attack on Trump's gun rights emphasizes the need to revisit existing gun control laws and change them to protect the individual's gun rights. Galib observed, until that happens, we will be more than happy to meet New York State or the federal government in court. So yeah, I completely agree with this. That group deserves a lot of funding because the group is actually standing up for American citizens and standing up for the prosecuted that has been tried and convicted unfairly. So moving on to the next article, we actually have a Federalist article. We have America's corrupt political class should be prosecuted, not Trump. I completely agree with this. In By the People, Rebuilding Liberty Without Permission, Charles Murray's terrific book on the death of American constitutional order, The framed social scientist tells a remarkable anecdote that suddenly seems very present. A former member of the United States Attorney's Office in New York has written about a popular training exercise among the staff. Name a famous person and then tell the junior prosecutors to figure out the possible crime that could be pinned on him. The junior prosecutors win the game by finding the most obscure offense that fits the character of the celebrity and carries the toughest sentences. Indeed, Murray goes on to note that this isn't merely a game. There are many notable examples of how prosecutorial direction is indistinguishable from lawlessness, and that this seems to be particularly evident when America's law enforcement apparatchiks get involved in cases involving celebrities or high profile targets. In the infamous case of financial Michael Micklin, the judge threw out the only real criminal charge, insider trading, leaving charges of violating financial regulations that, as the prosecutor in the case later acknowledged, amounted to criminalizing technical offenses. The regulations in question hadn't ever been charged as crimes before, nor have they been charged as crimes since. By the People was published 9 years ago, and with the Trump conviction in New York, we may very well have witnessed the nadir of abuse of prosecutional direction. It's not just that the former president and the leading contender to be the next president has been convicted of a felony and dubious and untested charges. For all that depends on that, we respect rule of law in the wake of Trump's verdict. It has become partly obvious that prosecuting corruption is not bound by law or principle. It's about gatekeeping. Those favored by our entrenched institutions get away with it. Those who threaten unaccountable power do not, of course, because a person that just concedes and says, "Oh, I accept being told what to do. I love the bureaucrats in power. I love the people that go out and spend the whole entire rest of their life in the position that they're in. I love those people. I support these people. I support exactly who's in charge at the time. And then I wishy-washy. I bend in the wind. I don't have any backbone." The mainstream, MSNBC, the MSM, the mainstream media loves these kinds of people. And the government loves these kind of people because they get to control these people the most. It's disgusting. So with that being said, make up your own mind, think about things for yourself, and maybe that will set you free. With that being said, this is a highly disgusting case. We already saw in New York. I talked about this. And it's highly disgusting that Hillary Clinton is saying that Trump should be prosecuted. But the thing is, Hillary Clinton will never win the presidency. It never had a chance in hell. With that being said, we're going to be summing up this episode here. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, please like and subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of this show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.